Hey, we are back. I hope you can hear me. I hope you can see me. But we are back. It is another edition in Landscaping to the Point. I am Scott, and I'm here with JC. Josh decided that he didn't want to join us today because I don't know. He was reading some kind of book or something that he couldn't just walk away from the book. So it's just me and JC today, and
What's going on, everybody?
what's going on, everybody? It's hopefully everybody's having a good week since we've been since last been over a week just by a day, but not that bad. But how's everything going your end? First off, JC, let's go with that.
It's been good, man. I think it's the last couple weeks have been pretty decent. Been busy, but it's kind of a good busy. I think I'm feeling good. A little tired, other than that, just because it's been kind of picking up. But weather's been nice, and just getting excited for our Tuesday night podcast.
Oh
Tuesday
yeah.
night. So sometimes we can't always get our times to schedule to work together and schedule. So sometimes we have to shift it over on another night. But sometimes it's a pretty good thing because it gives us a different audience, and people that aren't available sometimes on Sundays are available during the weekdays. So
Yeah, you
pretty
never
good.
know who comes on. I think that's the good thing about it is we always go with different days sometimes, and it works out for everybody. I know, like everybody has different times and different things going on during the weekends, and so it's always a good time to just get on when we can and get talking about stuff. So yeah,
Definitely, man.
it's always good. So, uh, how's the weather where you're at? I know it is here in Ohio, dude. It feels like it's balming still, dude. Today was in the 80s, and I think tomorrow might drop down a little bit. But man, we've been at the 80s. I feel like we're bypassing the fall, literally here in Ohio. That literally because like we get like 71 tomorrow, and then we're going right back up into 85, 86 over the weekend. And I feel like fall's gonna just disappear, or it's just gonna hit us all at once, and we're screwed. So, what about over by you guys?
Yeah, well, I remember the last time that we were on with Josh. It was kind of cold, like it was getting really, really cool. But then this past weekend and Monday and Tuesday, well, today, Monday and today, weather's been pretty good. It's been like mid to high 70s, and the funny thing is that it seems to me like the leaves are coming down in our area a lot sooner. I don't know if that's because the weather's kind of been wacky. It's been cold, it's been hot. It was rainy a couple or was it last week? Earlier last week. It was rain. So I don't know if that had to do with that, but I did some cleanup, or a little bit of a cleanup on my yard yesterday. And lo and behold, when I get home today from work, it looks like I never even touched it. So
Don't you love that? I think it's funny sometimes when we go to these, especially when the leaves are coming down. I'll go to a place and we'll clean it up, and literally an hour, 2 hours later, the leaves are falling, and you're just like, man, the customers are gonna come home and be like, did he
even
even clean up? Like, how do I know he did the cleanup? So it kind of sucks sometimes, but you gotta love it because it's like, it's keeping us busy. It's keeping us still having that work and still being able to continuously do work, with all that stuff. But it's funny because you're like, okay, are we gonna get the leaves? And then when they leave, they start falling. You're like, I gotta hurry up and get all these yards done, and then get back around and doing them again. And you're like, is it going to happen more or what? So yeah, it's
Yeah, it's kind of cool though, because I guess today's day and age, it's nice to know that neighbors, or your customers have cameras, so they know that you're at the property even though they may not be home. Where years back, if they weren't home and they come back and they see the leaves right back on their lawn again, they might think twice, or wonder if you were ever even there. And then the other thing is too, have you noticed this just from us being like, the older generation that we used to fear cameras. Do you remember like when you started your business and like ring cams became a thing, like it was brand new? Like I don't know if fear is the word, but it's like you were like, oh man, like I don't want people recording me.
Right.
I don't want neighbors recording me and stuff like that. But now it's just it's so normal now. Like it's
Oh yeah.
weird that you don't have a camera.
Right. Oh yeah. Every house, I would say, out of all the houses we do, I'd say there's probably maybe 10% that don't have cameras, and they're like the older people that are probably like in their 70s, later 70s, 80s, that don't worry about it. But if you go to some of these houses in some of these nicer neighborhoods, everybody has cameras. It's not an uncommon thing anymore, and it's especially we're in a nice neighborhood now doing some landscaping, and they're building brand new houses and they're putting cameras up as soon as they're already done, and it's a selling point now to say, hey, the cameras are on there, you got security 24/7 if you want it. So yeah, it's just amazing how it went from, like you said, where we didn't want to be on camera to now it's like, that's all right. I mean, go ahead, have me on there. You can't say that I wasn't here to do the job, So yeah.
So I almost driving home from work today. I almost got T-boned by this girl that was at a stop sign, and she was coming onto my street. I had no stop sign, no nothing. It was a straightaway. She completely cut me off, like, and she was so oblivious to it. But the point I'm trying to make is that I'm considering buying a dash cam for my car.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, do you have a dash cam for your company vehicles?
I don't yet. I have contemplated it because I feel like I think it could be a good thing. I know at one point we had the trackers on our trucks, and that was always good to know exactly where the truck was at all times. And I know a lot of companies around here have the trackers on their trucks just to be on the safe side, to know where their guys are at given points of the day. But I think with us having Jobber, it lets us clock in. So it's like, I know when my guy clocks in at a job, I know that they're there at that particular area for that amount of time. So that's one good thing about that. But yeah, I think dash cams would be awesome to have on our trucks, because at least, if there's an accident, I know crews are been in accidents before, and and you can't say what happened because you don't have it on video. So I think having that, for, like you said, somebody trying to T-bone you or running a red light, almost hitting you, or somebody quick stopping, and then you maybe hit them. I think a dash cam would be awesome to have on a truck.
Yeah,
So.
I think after today, I think I want to get one.
Yeah.
Now the struggle is trying to find a good one, because like there's so many brands and so many like these Chinese companies that make these cameras, you don't even know which one's good.
Right. Oh yeah, you don't. I think it's hard to find that now, but there's so many options out there. I think in a lot of industries, there's so many different options, like you said, for cameras, for dash cams, for anything anymore. It's like there's so many options that you got to weigh the option of. It's like you got to talk to somebody else that has something and say, what do you got that you're using that's going to be beneficial for me, before you go and buy it. Sometimes I think that's the hardest part with us anymore.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to jump into something and buy it and then like it lasts a month and you're like, oh yeah, I spent $50 on this dash cam, I got 1 month out of it. What am I going to do?
And it's
now?
a brand you've never heard of before. Like it's not like Sony or Panasonic or Philips
No, it's some brand Haki Hukuduku, and you're like, Hakuduku, what kind of Hakuduku am I going to get into? It's like a guy I watch. He eats Mexican food, and every time the guy says, this Mexican guy gives him food, he speaks in Spanish, and so he's telling him what it is in Spanish, and the white guy's, what are you calling me? It's like it's like that when you buy something from Amazon. You're like, what is that? I've never heard of that kind of company. Like, okay, whatever. I'll just go ahead and try it out and see if it's going to work, So it's funny, there's a lot of different brands out there anymore, and it's funny to some of them I can't even say.
Yeah, and it's like the same product, but has five different company names. Like 5 companies have the same camera.
Right.
But I'm curious for the for the viewers and the listeners of the podcast, and if you own a landscaping company, especially if you have crews, do you have dash cams installed on your vehicles?
Yeah, anybody that has a service industry should have them. I would say, lawn companies, landscape companies. I know like furnace people might have them. Air AC unit companies. Trying to think who. There's a company I know around me that has them, and I think they do septic stuff, and so they do septic and construction. So, I mean, that's always good to have also too, because you're hauling around equipment that could be dangerous, and if you got it on camera, if somebody slides in front of you, like, hey, it's worth it. So
yeah. Especially liability wise too. You're a company, so people like it is what it is. People are that get like that try to make these like fraudulent insurance claims. Oh, my neck. Like they especially like that when like a UPS truck hits them or like a company vehicle hits them, because they automatically assume more money, because it's a company.
Right.
So just to be careful and to cover yourself, I think it'd be wise to have a camera on your vehicles.
So now, if you had a dash cam, I know, like, do you think insurance would discount your insurance because of it if you had a dash cam?
I don't know. I mean, I think that's actually a good point.
Yeah. Or is that going to be something down the road that we're going to see more of? Because like I know there's one insurance company one of my workers had for a while, and he had one of those plug-in things that told him, every
Like the
day,
safe
like,
driver stuff, like
how his speed was, if he was braking too
See, I don't
fast,
like that though. That's
if
like
you're
that's
turning
like
too fast.
yeah.
Like he was just sometimes he was like, I didn't brake fast today. Like, like I wasn't 5 miles over the speed limit. And you're like, how do you know this if you're braking fast, or if you're turning too fast, or it's like, come on.
I don't like that, because I think that's like too much personal information. Like, I don't know if they know where you're traveling, but your phones know where you're traveling. You know, I don't know if I don't know. That's why I don't like electric vehicles, because I think they could track where you're going.
Right. Oh, I think they can.
And they sell that information. So if you drive by like a CVS every day, or, you might get like more advertisements on your YouTube account that go to CVS or go to Walmart and stuff like that. Like
Right.
it's like when you search something online, and next thing you know, you see like so much advertisements for it. It's insane how that works.
They say that sometimes the stuff you say will just start
Yep.
popping up in your feed. And it's just amazing how these phones can hear everything and know exactly what's going on. Especially from what we first originally had and how they've advanced. So it's just amazing. Like everything just keeps advancing. So it it's one of those things. I don't know. I can see that eventually dash cams will do the same thing too.
So. I wonder if insurance companies will make it a requirement to have a dash cam.
It would be interesting to. I could see after if it starts to get more bigger, I could see bigger insurance companies saying that, just for like landscape companies that have crews and all that stuff, to say, hey, we recommend that you have this on there, and this will be a better rate, or this is if you don't have this on it, we can't have you. I could see that. I could see that come in the future. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Interesting stuff.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I mean that just throws it way out there. I'll tell you that much. I'll tell you that much. It's funny because I was at one of our jobs today. We're doing a landscape job, and just to get into, we've talked about it before, but this landscape customer, she used to cut her grass like all the time, and so she bought one of those. It's a Segway uh, electronic mower that automatically goes out and mows your grass. And I just had to laugh at it because I'm out there doing the landscaping job, and this thing's going around the yard, and it literally, she's got it to where it tries to cut as much as it can, but it can't get close to certain things. Like it can't get close to the fence. She already had us extend some of the beds so it makes it curve around it easier instead of leaving lots of grass. But I thought it was funny how much is left over that has to be weed whipped, especially like around the curb because it can't get up close to the curb. It can't get close to the edge on the sidewalk. So it's like all that stuff that's left that you're going to have to take care of, and you're like, why? If you're going to go that way, why? I know it saves you time by not having to mow your grass, but you still got to go out there and weed whip. So I don't know. It's one of those things. It makes a big difference. I'll tell you that much. The way it looks sometimes, I'm just like, wow. Wow. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, man. It's just like, I don't know. It's some technologies best for other things, and some things it shouldn't be involved with.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's a lot of things. All right, so let's get to this topic. I was hoping Josh would be on because I know he's felt this way before, but oh well, maybe you felt this way.
Yeah.
The topic's called stuck. So I don't know if you've ever been this way, but this year it's been busy as all heck. I feel like I've been nonstop running around doing landscaping jobs, which is awesome. I enjoy doing all that stuff. I enjoy running the crews, making sure everything goes off perfectly. But the last couple of days, I felt like I've been stuck. Like I get up, I go to the gym, I get back home, eat my breakfast, get ready to get this day going. I get the day going, and I've gone to do a couple irrigation blowouts. And then as soon as I'm done with that, I feel like I'm done. I don't want to do anything else. Like I'm stuck. I'm stuck in like a rut. Like, hey, I'm done for the day. I don't want to do anything else. And I know there's tons of work out there that we still have on the books still to get done before the end of the year. Some of it I want to get done in literally 3 weeks, but I'm just like, I can't get myself to pull to get to do it. Like today, it literally took me, I went and did the irrigation job this morning and then came back because I had to switch over to get the landscape trailer. And I was just like, oh, I really don't want to go out and do this job. But I know it's an easy job. And it's like, it literally took me 2.5 hours to pull myself to like get the trailer loaded up and go out there. And then it was like, once I was there, I'm like, man, I'm dragging ass, really, what it was. And I just couldn't get myself to get going to get it going. So what's your thoughts? You got any thoughts for me that could get me maybe out of that like feeling stuck feeling? Or have you ever been
Man,
there?
I totally relate to that. And I think a lot of people definitely relate to that in their own separate ways. And I mean, if you want to look at it from a business standpoint and just the way of life of a landscaper, especially like during these seasons, it's the end of the season fatigue. And it's almost like you are stuck, but you plateau. Like you're just like kind of like baseline. And that's okay. I think we all feel that way. I definitely feel that way on a lot of things in life. And whenever I find myself in that situation, it's like you have to like try to make things different, because then it's gonna be dull every
Right.
single time, because it's the same exact monotonous type of situation every day. Sometimes you might not even realize it, but you might have to give yourself a break from the gym. Like maybe you're going too much,
It's only an hour and a half a
or
day. Like,
yeah. But I mean, that hour and a half could could be a difference in like how you feel later on in the day. Like it's good to have that routine. I think a lot of people like having that discipline of going every single day to do that. That's great. But like, but sometimes it's like you plateau. If you do the same exercise at the gym all the time and work the same body muscles, you're gonna plateau. You're not gonna be able to build more muscle on top of that. You have to switch things up. But I think like with your daily routine, you have to do that as well too. Like, um, maybe start later in the day if you can, or I don't know, just find something that makes it a little different. But I totally understand. I think a lot of it is mental fatigue. A lot of it is end of season fatigue. We're getting older. We get bored, mentally bored, and just finding that motivation to have your purpose to go out there and do it. And I don't know, like I mean, it's easier said than done,
Yeah.
right? Having a resolution for that.
Yeah.
Um, but like instead of riding the same route every day for your route density, maybe do it backwards. For a change, do it different. So it's like it's not the same exact, drive every day. You go into this client's house and this client's house. Like go in reverse order. See how that works out for you one day. It might be more interesting for you, or maybe go eat somewhere different from where you normally go, or switch it up with somebody else. If you have a crew member, like, hey, you do the irrigation lines, I'll do the landscaping today. Just
Right.
trade and see if that kind of switch things up.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Good points. I mean, I think I feel like gotta love the dog.
My dog's sleeping, and the dog's barking.
Gotta love it. But I feel like it's just I don't know. Like I've gotten to the point where I feel like I'm done for the season, and get tired out of. But it's just the last couple days. It's just like So I don't know. Maybe like you said. Maybe it's fatigue. Like I said, we've been busy really a lot this year, so maybe that could be the main reason too. Just because it's been nonstop work, so it's like my brain's probably like, okay, I need to take the break. So might be maybe what it is. So
Yeah, people, I could understand that from a business standpoint too. Like whether you're a big business or small business, you might feel like you're stuck, like you're plateauing because you're doing the constant same thing. Your business isn't growing, your revenue isn't growing, you're not losing customers, you're not gaining customers, you're just at that same level. And sometimes you seek something different, or you're trying to get your mind state in a trying to think about what your next ideas are, what your next services could be, or you're trying to learn a new service to offer in your business and you can't quite do that yet and you're eager to do it. Like let's say you want to get into irrigation and you don't really have that skill or ability or knowledge on how to do that yet. Like you could find yourself in a situation where like you're getting impatient because you want to already learn how to do that. You want to already be able to offer those services in your business, but you're at a point in time where you can't. And that could be frustrating because you're like looking at everything else is like, oh, I'm just doing the normal boring stuff that I do. I want to start getting into doing these types of new projects. And you can't. So it's like a equal balance of having patience, keeping your motivation, keeping an open mind to learn new things, and working towards improving at the same time. So it's hard to balance that in life, and sometimes that's why people like the season changes. That's why some people that do year-round services like the transition from like landscaping to snow removal, or
Right.
some people like the winter for plowing, and they like the change, because you're dealing with that, and it's not the same. Like some of the southern people, Florida guys, like if they're not offering new services, like I would love to pick their brain on how they feel doing the same thing every day, year round, 365.
Well, see, I think like I've talked to Pablo about that, and Pablo said, like, when it comes to winterize, they don't mow every week. So it's like they kind of go every other week. So it's kind of like they're getting their break at that time between January and February, to where they kind of get to where they're, got a break just like anybody else that's up in north that do snow removal, or if you don't do snow removal, you get that break. So I just feel like, but everybody can get to that. Everybody, like you said, gets that plateau to where, they want to become better at certain stuff, or they're stuck, gaining customers. So it's more of like, we have to make plans on like what you're going to do. So, even like me, maybe because, over the last couple of years, I've taken, vacations and stuff. And this year we're holding off till December. So maybe that might be the plan is that from now on, I take a vacation in the middle of summer, so that way I'm not
break it up,
feeling that stuck, right now, so I'm like, full bore it all the time. I think, that might be the game plan. Sometimes having that break, taking the R&R, making a nice long week vacation or something can help it out too. So, I mean, there's always something, it's, like last week I was telling my guys that, we only got a couple more weeks of mowing, and we only got a couple more weeks of landscaping that we can push to get done. Let's get this stuff done as much as we can, and that's always good. But like, at the end of the day, you can only get so much as what you can do. So, and
you might have touched on this on previous podcasts, but sometimes I could understand from a business standpoint, a business owner, that your goal is to get more customers, more customers, more customers, more customers. And that in itself could be monotonous. You're always chasing,
right.
But sometimes the gold mine is closer to you than you think. Like you might not necessarily have to get more customers, but how about instead of trying to get more clients and increasing your client base, how about upsell some stuff to your existing customers, and especially your loyal ones and the ones that you've been servicing for years, and see if you could kind of, not exhaust yourself in trying to get more clients. It's not the more numbers. It could be the jobs that you sell, and
Right.
to those clients that you already have. And that way you could change up. Instead of mowing their lawn every week, you're now doing something else on their own property. So you're doing it that way and changing things up in that manner, as opposed to trying to seek new customers. Again, I'm not trying to say that seeking new customers is a bad thing, but do you have potential in the ones that you have already? So that doesn't become monotonous. You're not just mowing the same property. Now you're doing something else to that property,
Right. I think that's the best thing to do. I think that's where, if you're stuck and you're trying to increase revenue, you should always look at what you have in front of you. You have a base of customers. Take that base of customers, like you said, and upsell it. Upsell something. There's always something on that property that could use something. You could be a pruning. It could be mulching. It could be, switching the mulch to stone, doing a French drain, doing irrigation, doing fert, doing aerations. There's all kinds of stuff. And I think that's where, like, a lot of customers, a lot of companies get to that point where they're stuck and they don't know what to do, because maybe they're only mowing grass and maybe that's all they want to do is mow grass. But they're like, well, I need more customers because I need to make more money. Well, you can make that more money probably in the customers you already have.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to have. I always thought when I first started that, the more customers I had, the better it was. And I realized at one point, about 15 years in, that I don't need, 200 customers to make me happy. I need a good set of customers that are willing to work with me and say, yeah, I see what you're saying. This does need to be pruned. This does need to be, irrigated, or this does need, new plants here. So I think there's always that benefit of having that good customer, and that one that always is, waiting for you to say, hey, this is what I need to get done.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing. I'll tell you what, I've had over the last 2 years, I've had customers ask me a million things to do for them. And I'll tell you what, that's helps to benefit us as bringing in more revenue too for our company, to where we're not outside seeking more customers if we have to. So
Like one of the examples, and I hope he's listening. And I haven't heard from him in a long time. I hope he's doing well. Is Alex Carney?
yeah,
Like he started off doing landscaping and mowings and leaf cleanups and brush removal, and I think he was doing like small tree removals too
yeah,
and stuff like that. And then he switched it up to the septics. And now I think that's the foundation of his business right now. Is not the foundation, but that's his foundation was landscaping, but now he solely focuses on septic systems and septic fields and stuff like that. And that was just development of your your business owning skills, like learning and discovering what you're good at and what you want to do, what you strive for. And it's okay to change things up,
right.
and he found success in that. And I think he's like one of the biggest ones down in Rhode Island now that deals with that stuff. He has so many connections that business for him, at least from what I last heard of, he's doing really, really well doing that. He transitioned from landscaping to septics. And it's like, if you feel that you're stuck, and if you were capable of building a successful landscaping business, you're capable of doing something else that you might not even realize you've ever wanted to do. And sometimes you imagine what your niche is in life, and you find yourself like one day doing something that you never thought you'd be doing. And it's just like, that's a hungry mindset for a business owner to have. Like, that you always stay hungry is that saying.
Yeah.
And try to find out what you can do. And, and also like, it kind of goes back to like the mental health thing, or, finding time for your family, separating business from life, working to live, don't live to work. And just finding a balance in life, taking a week off, or going back to your roots. Like when you first started, you were probably doing like, smaller lawns with a push mower. Maybe if you have any of those customers or clients, and you have a high school kid or a college kid that's working for you, be like, hey, all right, you do a couple of the the bigger properties, and I'll do the push mowing today. Just go back to your roots. And maybe that might be something that will kind of like refresh your mind, and be like, wow, I remember when I was doing this years ago.
Oh yeah. So Pablo is on Instagram. Pablo, do you ever feel that you get stuck, especially when it comes to winter? And because like we were just talking a little bit ago before you popped on, Pablo, I'm feeling stuck right now. Like I don't want to continue to do work and stuff. And I know you work more throughout the year doing mowing and all kinds of stuff. So if you could put in the chat, Pablo, do you ever feel stuck? Because we want to know, you being down in Florida, it's nice to have people from Florida on here, because it's always good to get their opinion on stuff. So but if anybody feels stuck out there, I think you got to change some stuff up. Like JC said, you got to change some stuff up and look at different ways to, how are you going to do that for the day? Maybe, like tomorrow, I have no irrigation turn on, so.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Think about this too, is that, what do a lot of landscapers do? They pick up a camera, they start posting things on Instagram, start posting things on YouTube. They start a YouTube channel. Like they broke the monotony by now producing content of what they're doing. So that keeps things interesting, and that keeps things, like a hobby within itself of your business work. But yeah, we all have those days that we don't want to do anything. And sometimes that might be an indicator that we need to take a day off,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You never know. I mean, there's always different indicators, maybe, a day off or a week off, or, maybe a couple hours, just taking a couple hours out of the day and going, playing golf or doing something else. maybe like you said, changing it up. There's different ways to change it up, and I think tomorrow will be different, and we'll see how that goes. But I feel like
You know what you should do is tomorrow go to work and then go to the gym afterwards. See how you feel.
see, maybe maybe I'll just get up and maybe I'll just go to the gym before I go to bed tonight. Maybe go at midnight and then start all over again.
Yeah.
Never know. I'll change something up, so it'll be always good to change some things up and continue on. And I feel like everybody gets stuck at that point. Everybody gets burned out, as what we would say in the industry. We all get burned out. We all get stuck at some point, and it's always good to talk to other people too. And I think like talking to you is always good to talk to you. Pablo just answered back, so I'm gonna get with Pablo here and get his answer out. But I feel like it's always a good thing to be able to talk to each other in the green industry. So like having you as a good friend, having Pablo as a good friend, having a whole bunch of friends that we know in the green industry that we can talk to, is always good, not only for our mental health, but for us just to be able to talk to each other and learn each other's, ins and outs and see if we can grow from each other. So Pablo says that it's an everyday symptom feeling stuck. We are entrepreneurs and believe that's something that it will always be rent-free in our heads.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just the skill of being able to get that off your mind. And I think Pablo does a good job with that because he's a very creative guy. Probably one of the most creative content creators in the landscape green industry.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, if you're feeling stuck like that, change it up, switch it up.
Yeah.
Get creative with your content and have fun.
Yeah. Let's change it up right now. Okay.
Yeah, let's change it up. Let's do it.
Let's change it up. So all right, guys. So changing it up. What JC and anybody out there listening, Pablo, if you're still on, anybody else that's on, why and what is your biggest goal to finish out the rest of this year is?
Oh, that's a great question, man. Oh man. All right, cool. Yep. I got an answer for that. So I am planning, I have it in my head that 2026 I want to travel more. And I've said that a million times, and I've mentioned many times I went to Japan and all that stuff. But I really want to mean what I say when I do that, right? Like I there's a lot of wishful thinking. Like, oh, I want to do this next year. I want to do this. No. I have no excuse now. I want to do it. So I want to plan for more trips next year. I don't want to give up on this year already, but wintertime, I want to be able to, have my equipment in order for my own property. Like, my snowblower, sometimes I get lazy in setting that up or, tuning that up, having materials, ready. I hate the wintertime. So I figure I might as well prepare myself the most I can so that I don't have to have a bad time every time I'm out there.
Right.
But as far as personal goals, I don't know, man. I guess just I'm doing fine. I want to spend more time with my parents. I think to close off this year. Yeah, I want to do that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's a whole bunch of great goals, and I think that's
I know it's scattered all over the place, but yeah, that's what I have on my mind.
I think that's a good thing, though. I think having goals and reevaluating our goals throughout the years is always something that helps us out in the long run because you look towards the future of what you want to do. And I think a lot of us as entrepreneurs do that. We're always changing our goals up. We might be wanting to do something, and like something Pablo just said, having that feeling of being stuck is just a sign that you're just a master what you're doing. It's time to evolve on doing something different. So having a good goal is is something that we always change up on what we want to evolve. You know, I know I have some goals of just finishing out the year strong. You know, business wise, adding some more equipment next year and continuously build. But I'm also looking at being able, you know, just kind of like Josh did, is just having, you know, materials on our site, you know, and that's something that's one of my biggest goals for the business is to develop our area of having a nice big area for, you know, materials on site. And, you know, it lays the ground towards which way you want to go. You know, everything can change at a minute, and it's always good to be able to push towards whatever goal you want and continues it if you want that. I feel like it's just always fun to have goals, you know, personalized. If you haven't seen one of my posts, there's a post on one of mine that I just did earlier this week. And, you know, I met some really good, strong guys a couple of weeks ago. And one of my biggest goals is just to get more healthier and stronger. You know, I watched some guys pull some huge tankers, and I'll tell you what, you know, it would be nice to be able to just to be able to just pull a, you know, a mower up onto a trailer if I had to, you know, instead of having to, you know, struggle with it, you know. So and that's not much. Okay, that's only a couple 100 pounds. That's not no semi like them guys do, but you know, I'd love to have that strength, and that's one of my personal goals for next year and to continue this year. So you know, that's always good. Pablo says I believe it's a perfect time to think for next year goals and start laying the foundation for it, so that when the next year hits, you're all ready to start building it. I agree with that. I feel like you should have goals set for each year and adjust as you go. Just like, you know, when you make a content, you might say, well, you got this in your brain, like, I'm going to make this content for this video. But when you start it, it could change totally different. Mm-hmm. You know, you could be like, okay, I'm going to change it up. But your goal was to have a good piece of content with, you know, that piece of equipment, or, you know, doing a funny skit or whatever it is. But you got a goal.
You know what the problem with goals are is that all too often people, and I've been guilty of it myself, is that we set goals that like unrealistic goals, you know, but like in our minds, it's like innocently, it's like, oh, you know, like I want to win $1 million. I want to, you know, do this. I want to do that. It's like, I've learned to set more realistic goals for myself that are obtainable, and it's made me more successful in the goals that I've planned, you know. So like small wins build motivation. And so if I were to be able to give advice, which, you know, I don't always give the best advice, but if I was someone to give advice, it's like, really analyze think about what your goals are. It's okay to have like high, like dreams. Right. I'm not saying that you can't have that. I'm saying that the higher your dreams are and the more difficult they are to achieve, the more room for failure is there, and the more room for disappointment is there. And I'm not saying not to like think big or dream big. Right. I'm saying to start off with like small winnable goals, and then build that motivation, and then work towards, once you get closer to being able to do those things, then start increasing what your levels of goals are. You know, I hope I explained that correctly, but
yeah, I think you did. I think, you know, if you have a bigger goal, you know, put steps to get to that. So you'll have, you know, even if you want to do 15 goals to get to that bigger goal, do that. You know, start out, like you say, with the smaller goals. Don't say, okay, I'm going to be a millionaire in a year. Well, how are you going to get there? You know, you got to have a first goal of like, I'm going to get a job doing this. Second goal is to, you know, increase this, you know, in sales. You got to have that goals. And I think, you know, like you said, having the smaller goals to go out for is a lot better before you go for the big goal. So
you've explained it a lot better than I just did doing that.
I've heard it a couple times from some other guys. There's this big weight lifter I watch every day now, and that's one of his things. Is that he said, set the big goal and then work your way back. Work your way back and say, okay, what do I got to do first? What do I got to work on? Do I got to work on my biceps first? Okay, that's my first goal. I'm going to do 10 reps of this, and then in 2 weeks, I'm going to work myself up to 20 reps of this bicep. You got to have that goals. So make your little goals and add them up to what you get to the big goal. So definitely that's what you got to do.
You can apply that like with anything in life.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You could be in debt up the ass and then, say, okay, well, I'm going to pay $10 a week to this bill. It's going to pay it off eventually, faster, than paying the minimum, $5 a month, so that's the best way to do it. Slowly work to that bigger goal. I think that's the best thing you can do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Where's Brightstone with the joke of the week, man?
I don't know. Brightstone's not on here. We've had a couple other people on here. Black Sheep says he agrees. Smaller goals get you to the bigger ones. That's right. So definitely. I think, there's a lot of things we all can learn from each other too. Don't be afraid to ask people, if you're, I literally had somebody just kind of say the other day that they were stuck at getting their business to us over a certain point. And so they were looking at, selling out to another company. And I said, well, what's the issue? And they wouldn't get totally into it. But I think, us as business owners, we always are out here to be able to go back and talk to whoever we need to talk to, and maybe we can figure it out together as business owners. There's a lot of us in here that are willing to help you out and help you grow without having to buy a system or buy into another company or, get a buyout from another company. Black Sheep says, Pablo says, going back to the word stuck. Okay. You can't get stuck on a goal, even though there is, but it doesn't mean along the way to that big goal, things can turn into another route. I think so. I think, sometimes you might want to do one thing and you have a big goal on doing that. And then once you get going, you might, find out that you might not want to do that. You might want to do something else, and I think that is a similar thing. What he's trying to say is that you can have that big goal of, hey, I'm going to be, the biggest landscaper. And then you get into, doing irrigation and you're like, hey, I'm just going to do irrigation. I love doing this. I'm better at this. I think we all have had that stuff. I'd love to have you say this name, JC, but Freder, he says, hello from Brazil. Welcome in.
Oh. Oi, bom dia, meu amigo. Como está você?
See, we got you covered, buddy. But yeah, I think you should be able to change things up. I think there's always that different ability to change stuff up, even if you're like JC said earlier, if you have your own mowing company and you're mowing, let's say, nonstop every day, the same route, change it up, go around, go to somebody different, go to, instead of stop 1 every day, go to stop 4. You might change into a different area, but that could benefit you. I'll tell you that much, because it has benefited me in the past many times by just changing up a day, changing up a job, a time of the day. It gets you out there, because that neighbor might be out that says, wow, I've always watched somebody mow that, when I come home, it's already mowed, and here you are. So now I met you. Now I want to, get you to have us do our service. It can change up a lot of things. So that's definitely, positive too on that too. So,
definitely, man. Definitely. Yeah. It makes, like go to your last stop of the day. The next day, make that one your first one, and then work your way backwards.
Right. It's not gonna make the day longer. I'll tell you that much. It won't make the day longer. It's the same amount of time that you start from one to another. So especially if you got a down pat of where everything's at, I won't see a problem with that. So JC, we got a couple minutes left.
Yeah.
What is your favorite dessert? There we go.
Ooh, man, you're coming up with some, man, you always have hard questions because you put me on a spot.
That's the point. That's the point of this
I
thing.
know,
We gotta
man.
put people on the point.
Favorite dessert. And I'm not a sweet tooth person, man. Oh, man. I mean, all right. You're not going to like this answer. I like after dinner coffee.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What kind of coffee? Black?
Just
with cream?
No, I use oat milk, but
okay,
because I'm lactose intolerant. But yeah, I like it. I like a nice after dinner coffee.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is amazing. See, I never would have thought that of you. I really wouldn't have. I thought you maybe like like an apple pie or like some ice cream or something. Never thought of coffee, dude.
Yeah, I've always been a coffee drinker my entire life, and then like back in like 2007, 2008, I went over a buddy's house of mine, and his wife was Lithuanian, and she made incredible dinner. It was awesome, to the point where I was like, I need to get married. But anyways, so.
Just so she can make you coffee?
Just so I could get a wife that could cook me dinner like that.
Okay.
That didn't work out. But anyways, but she served us after dinner coffee, and ever since she did that, I've been hooked on having a coffee after dinner. Like not all the time, but but I love it. It kind of like it's the icing on the cake, no pun intended.
Hey, that's good, dude. That's really good. Yeah. That's really good.
And I can fall asleep after a cup of coffee. It doesn't really bother me.
I can fall asleep anywhere. I'll tell you that much.
I can't fall asleep anywhere, but like if I drink coffee, I have no problem going to bed.
See, it's that calming. That's a calming effect. Yep. See, and everybody has that calming effect. That's out there, guys. Fredier from Brazil says, "I'm a big fan of your work format. It inspired me to start my business in Brazil." Well, congratulations on starting your business, man.
That's awesome, man.
That's awesome. I would love to see how the business runs down there, because us being up here and them being down there, I wonder how the seasons run and all that stuff, and how everything is down there. That's got to be a difference from up here, definitely. So
yeah, if you have a YouTube channel, plug it into the comments. If not, start one.
Yeah, definitely start something, or I'll check you out more, because dude, that's just amazing. Congratulations, and thanks for being a fan of us. So definitely. So you like coffee as a dessert? Okay, well, yeah. I'll throw this out here. My favorite dessert, I'll tell you this, and it's got to be this type of dessert, and you're gonna be weirded out, maybe not. Okay. It's got to be Dutch apple pie with vanilla ice cream on top. It's got to be warm, though. It's got to be totally warm. When you put that on, the ice cream on, it starts to melt, and then you put caramel sauce over top of it.
It's not weird.
Well, it's kind of weird. Some people think it's weird when you put the caramel.
You know what I used to do? What I used to do when I was a kid? I'd go to McDonald's and I'd get a caramel sundae, and I'd buy an apple pie, and I'd smash the apple pie inside the sundae.
Ooh, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
See, now you're just throwing more stuff out there.
Yeah, man.
Oh,
dude, you should try that.
Dang, I gotta try it now. But see, I don't go to McDonald's no more. So
get a caramel sundae and then buy an apple pie and smash apple pie inside the sundae.
See, now you're making me think more.
Yeah. Little food hack there, bro.
Oh yeah. Well, Don from Canada is on. I wonder. So now we got people from Brazil, we got people from Florida on, and we got Don from Canada. So Don is one of our good buddies from Canada. Don, what's your favorite dessert? I want to know what your favorite dessert is. And I kind of feeling I know what it is, but with Don, who knows? It's probably like Canadian bacon, I bet you.
Mm.
Could be Canadian bacon with a
For
waffle.
dessert, though, that's not really dessert.
On a waffle, probably like bread on a warm waffle. That's probably what he wants with maple syrup.
I was thinking more like Molson.
Oh yeah, yeah, I can see that with Don. Yeah, nice cold Molson, probably. So yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's like we're just hitting all the stereotypes, but
yeah.
no, Canada has like Canadians. They do like certain pastries or like dessert or something like that. I don't know what it is, but I thought I knew something like that.
Yeah, I think they do. I think they have some French pastries more than anything. I think.
Are they like maybe like croissants or something like that?
Croissants and crepes, maybe.
Crepes.
Yeah. I don't know.
I like crepes. Haven't had them in a long time, but I like crepes.
Yeah, they're pretty good. See, now a warm crepe with some warm apple pie.
Ice cream. Crepes and ice cream.
Yeah, there you go. See, Yep, very good. Well, guys, we've had a great show here. We learned a lot. Hopefully, we helped you guys out. Just got to change some stuff up and start with a big goal, but put it down to little goals and work your way up. And we learned what kind of that JC loves nice dessert coffee. So if you guys want to send him a dessert coffee once in a while, he'll
send
go
me coffee.
Yeah, just send
coffee, beans, whatever. Coffee.
He'll drink anything coffee wise. Okay. So, and thanks to our sponsors, Cujo Yardware, which they will be at Equip this year. So we're hoping to see them there. And thanks to Pro Parts Direct. Thank you. And thank you to Awesome Candle for some great smelling scents. So thank you guys. And we'll see you guys all